We're going to start the meeting, and I want to thank everybody for coming. I'm going to look in both places. I'm Kristen Kitson. I am the Manager of Youth Services here in Sullivan County, and I just want to introduce my team members before we start. I have Kathy Pacey. She's the Internship Coordinator. I have behind me hiding is Lisa Jewell. She is the Director of OFA, and I have Laura Quigley, who is the Commissioner of
Community Resources.
Oh, I can say. I thought you were going to give the whole. Okay. So thank you, guys. So for the next hour, we're going to be going through the application process. We're going to be running through what the year looks like for you, and we're going to be talking about the vouchering process. Kathy Pacey will be monitoring the chat, and she will be answering questions throughout the meeting. Please, I think she mentioned, please put your information into the chat. We will have these slides available for you after the meeting. And this is our first year of doing this bidders conference, so please have patience with us. We're really trying. All right, so today we're going to talk about the journey of a funding an application here at the Youth Bureau. I need to give credit to Orange County. They did a phenomenal job, so a lot of this I took from them with their permission. All right, how do we start this? We do the announcement of funding. So that happened on April 3rd. Hopefully you all got that on April 3rd, is why we're all here. Somebody in, sorry. All right, what documents are needed to apply? Will this be difficult? So this is probably the most difficult part. We do have forms, OCF forms, 5001, 002, 003, and the program narrative. That should have been in your email that you received. And, what? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, thank you.
I was trying to watch. There was some button.
So in the application, you should have received those documents. When it comes to the narrative and you're trying to figure out where your target population is, think of it kind of like if you're running a ski program. So you want to hit 120 youth, that's your target population. But let's say your outcome is you want to get at least 100. So that would be your participant outcome. Your design, how you're going to run your program, how you're going to monitor it, evaluate it, who's going to be running your programs, and basically your mission statement and any past accomplishments that you want to mention. Appendix A, that was also emailed to you, serves as a template. All right, so please submit your applications electronically to me and my email by the end of the workday on Wednesday the 17th. We unfortunately will not be accepting any applications after that date. And then the one form, the 5001, needs an original signature. So feel free to drop that off or put that in the mail. But everything else can be electronic. All right, you sent everything in. What's next? It's our job. We receive it, we relog it, and we review your application. After we do that, myself and Kathy, we meet with our advisory board, and we review all the applications, we discuss them, and we determine allocation awards amounts. Sometimes the board may come back to me with questions, and I might have to come back to you and say, can you explain a little bit more about this, or what's your rationale? So that might happen. Now let's talk about how much money is out there for allocation. So for the first 3 quarters of this year, so from January 1st to September 30th, the state has allocated under YDP Youth Development Programs $54,737. under YSEF, Youth Sports and Education Programs, which is brand new as of last year, that is $20,318. And again, that's only for 3 quarters, and we will discuss that more if you do get that type of funding. We will have further discussions on how that will look. We are extremely lucky that our legislator has allocated us $100,000 to spend on programming for youth programs in the county, and that does run a calendar year. So how much money you're going to get, it's all based upon how many applications we receive. So after all that is done, we will notify you about funding decisions and any possible changes. It may be via email, it might be a phone call, maybe a meeting, whatever works. Now this is pretty important. Let's review some important dates. As I said previously, on April 3rd, applications were announced. Today, we're all sitting around or on our computers, and we're having our bidders meeting. 17th, the applications are due. On the 22nd of May, applications will be shared with our advisory board members. On the 30th, our advisory board will meet to review the applications and allocate the funds. And then on June 15th, the legislative executive meeting will vote to approve the funding. And then come the first week in July, all awardees will be notified. All right. What do we need from you to secure this contract? We need a certificate of insurance naming the county as an additional insured, and we need proof of liability. So throughout the process of application, running your program, and vouchering, we're here to help you at any time. If you're having problem getting enrollment, if you're having problem with getting the word out, we're here for you. We can, not only us, but we can link you up with neighboring places that do similar programming, and they'll help you also. We all just want to get together and make this the easiest process for anybody, but feel free to reach out to us at any time. All right, this is our favorite part of our job. We do at least one site visit to the program each year. Usually we let you know it's scheduled. We could do a surprise one, but that's not how we usually do things around here. So we like to have fun and see what you guys are doing, highlight, maybe we can get some pictures, and we can showcase your programs. All right, this is our least favorite part of our job, is reviewing the claims and processing for reimbursement. We're going to get to that in a minute. This is the probably tedious part where you're submitting your claims, you're vouchering to get reimbursed for what you've done. So what does this claim process look like? How much backup will I need to provide? This is one I'm going to turn it over to Angela Chevalier, our county auditor. I like to call her the great Oz of everything claims.
Oh my God, what an intro. My shoes say there's no place like home. Great.
So Angela, do you want to just talk about what the county looks for?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
So, hi everyone, Angela Chevalier, and sometimes this process is a little bit painful for people, so we're here to discuss how we can make it as easy as possible and help you understand what we look for. So when my staff is looking at the claims, I like to explain to them that from looking at your contract and looking at what you put in for reimbursement, without really having any real knowledge or going to the program or seeing what really is going on, you should be able to approve that reimbursement or expenditure. So what they'll be looking for is what's in your contract, what you're supposed to be providing, what kind of program you're doing. So if it's, we're going to do cooking with the kids, and so I would expect to see receipts for different ingredients and things like that. But what the expenditures would always relate back to what you put as what your program is. So, but we look for itemized receipts, not statements, itemized receipts, proof of payment, canceled checks. In some instances, there is items that are purchased because you're creating things, such as if you're doing a food class with the children. So those are different supplies. In some instances, you're taking trips. So if you're taking a trip, you have 10 tickets to go see this certain show or this certain sporting event. We would look for the proof of those, purchasing of those tickets, proof of the payment, listing people signing off who's attended. In some of those situations, you may or may not have meals. So if there are meals included for those participants, we would be asking, showing proof that you brought meal packages for them. If meal packages weren't included, but you took 10 kids somewhere, we'd be looking for itemization for what you purchased for each child. So it's really as much detail as possible, so we can always trace back to what was the use of the funds. But canceled checks, if you put on a credit card statement, invoices, those are the type of things. Actual original source documentation is what we're looking for.
Yeah,
so.
That was great. Thank you. And when I'm going to go a little bit further into the claiming process, so feel free to chime in anytime. Thank you. So when you submit your reimbursement claims, please be sure to include your sign-in sheet. Please have the youth sign in. If they're too young, obviously the parental can, or a parent or whoever brings them can definitely sign in, or if you're running the program, but we like to see youth signatures. And feel free to share with us pictures so we can share with others. Just make sure that you please have parental permission for those photos. And let me just add, because moving forward, what the Youth Bureau really wants to do is highlight everybody's program once a month. So we'd like to have that opportunity. So if you could share with us what you're doing, we'll get it out there. All right. So a little bit more in the county and state forms. These will be emailed to you once you're awarded your contract. And they are what Angela was talking about was your expenditure form, your program expenditure form for M&L, your contracted services, your salaries, and then you'll have your program expenditure summary for the state, and then one for the county, depending on which funding cycle you receive. Please make sure you separate each individual receipt with the supporting documentation. Each vendor requires a separate receipt on the expenditure summary. Do you think? Yeah, do you mind?
So,
thank you.
For instance, if you've gone to Trading Post, Walmart, and ShopRite and purchased items, each one of those lines would be, each one would be listed separately. We don't want to see 3 different stores listed and them added together on one line with a $1 amount. If you've gone to Walmart 3 times, then you're going to list it 3 times. Each individual expenditure is listed separately, regardless if you've used that vendor more than once, such as a Walmart, Trading Post, something like that.
Right. And so, like, if you're having an event like a Halloween, you can't just write Halloween party and then just put a total. You got to break it down by what you spent that all on, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Also, please make sure what you're vouchering aligns with your contract. I understand things change throughout the year and you may have some program shifts, things may change, but what you're putting on your contract has to be what you're vouchering for. If you want to have a discussion throughout the year, if things change, give us a call. We definitely can talk about that, but make sure to align.
I'll just give you a little example
Please.
for this. So say your program was so specifically spelled out that you had 10 specific dates with what you were going to be doing. And in, January, we had a snowstorm, and 2 of your events could not go off. If you contact the Youth Bureau and you say, gee, we were very specific on what our program was going to be, but we're not going to be able to do these 2 in January. I'd like to swap it out and say, how about we do this, for Earth Day, and we're going to do a different event now in the spring. If it is so specifically spelled out in your contract, they could always do a contract mod to say, we're removing this from the program, but adding this.
Okay.
So, but you want to communicate that as it's happening. You don't want it to become November, December, and then find out after the fact that, oh, no, we didn't run the program exactly the way we had intended because of this. So that constant communication is really the key, and usually everything boils down to communication.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you. So, after all that's said and done, the Youth Bureau then processes the claim. The sooner you get the claims into us, the sooner you'll get reimbursed. And I just want to take another moment before we end and just share a little bit more about what the Sullivan County Youth Bureau does besides allocating funds and, allocating funds. We also have an internship program. Kathy Pacey, who we spoke about earlier, does that. She pushes into the schools. She, want to speak to it, Kathy?
Sure. My goal is to have all of the school districts with their youth working in a county position, not in the county, not for the county, but in the county. So if it's Liberty, or if it's Calhoun, or if it's, Fallsburg, wherever the jobs are or where we want to get the kids to be working. And these will be paid positions. So right now we're starting off with just Monticello schools and Sullivan West at this point, because we want to start off small and be successful. And from there, we'll hopefully expand to all of the school districts in the county. And I'm creating a curriculum that will help the children, or help the youth, I should say, actually become prepared for the positions that they are applying for. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to give me a call.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. As we've been speaking about, we provide the financial support for the youth programming. We support county youth initiatives. So if there's something going on in the county and they want to bring the Youth Bureau in to help them support that, we are happy to have conversations, support, be part of. As I said, we collaborate with agencies to support the youth. Hopefully you all receive my lovely Youth Bureau blast once a week. Feel free to give me information. I would love more content. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. And then the new thing we're working on, and we're pretty excited, is the mapping of programs within the county. We're working with our GIS and our IT department. GIS stands for?
Graphic information.
Thanks, Jill. And we're working on mapping all of your programs that are in the county, all of the other programs, and we want it kind of layered, where here's our free things. Here's maybe some mediocre prices, and then there's some higher prices. And then we can see where there's programs in the county and when there aren't programs. And we can target those areas and try to get programs in those areas that we need to serve the youth. And maybe build some transportation. Maybe. All right. So this presentation was just a quick overview. If you have any questions, please feel free to
Put in the chat also,
okay.
so that we have a record of it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Feel free to contact me. My phone number is on the screen, 807-0394. Email me. If you want to throw it in the chat, we will gladly get back to you. And I think I look forward to seeing everybody's applications. I still look forward to seeing all the wonderful things that are going to be going on in the county. And I thank you all for joining us today and coming out here or taking time on your screen to join us. So, thank you, guys. Anything I need to on the chat? Okay.
Nope.
All right.
Anybody has any feedback or?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Go for it.
Yeah. Anybody have any immediate feedback or questions or comments?
I have questions. I always like to ask questions.
I know.
Since this is my first time, are there like guidelines as far as like, is there a match? What you can actually use the funds for? What are the requirements?
We're getting all plan and progress on this.
Right? Yes, there's an LCM that I can share with you.
Okay.
Yes.
So like that'll go over like if we have to, does the town have to commit funds to the project?
The town does not need to, I can answer
So
that, does not need to.
100%, this would fund it 100%?
Correct, yes.
And does the
There's no
event
match.
have to be free for the kids?
It doesn't have to be free. So in the past, so there may be people on the screen and some people in this room, in the past it had to be free. But now, as long as you have something in place that if somebody can't financially utilize your program, you'll pay for them, you can have low-cost programming.
Hi, this is Sue Rodriguez. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi Sue.
Hi. Hi, everyone. I just had a question. At the end of last year, we filled out the paperwork of what we were projected to do this year. When you spoke to that if our list doesn't match what we had wrote on our initial contract, we should contact you. So in the past, like we always, projected, hey, we would do skiing, like for an example, like you had all used, and then it didn't snow, and we didn't get that, and we just changed it. We never had to discuss that. So how, you want us to make a meeting to go over what we've had to change so far this year and our plan for the remainder of the year?
That would be good. Yeah, I think moving forward, it's best practice, and some things have kind of come up with the contract. So yeah, definitely reach out to me, and we can just chat and we can modify the contract.
Okay, that's great, because a lot of the things that we do, like we find out like there's a show at the Forestburg Playhouse, so we're like, oh, that'd be great. So it's kind of, we don't know until last minute when it, you understand. All right.
Absolutely. But, in your contract, if you're a little vague about, we're going to do like trips around and see shows, like that would match into your contract. But
Okay.
We can definitely chat, so.
That's great. We can do that next year when we fill it, or this year when we fill it out for next year. That's a great idea. We were always pinpointed, we always did it like we're going to Claus and Paws or, okay, thank you.
Gotcha. You got it. Not a problem.
Hi, my name is Danielle. I'm from Reach Towards the Stars Incorporated. I'm the president and founder. We're a new non-for-profit targeted towards youth in Sullivan County, specifically Monticello. So this is all very new to me. Our non-for-profit just started at the end of last year. And I just had a question in regards to the grant, and this may sound like a silly question, but I'm not sure.
Bring it on.
For this program, like for the grants, does it have to be for a program that's already established, or could I use the funds for a program that we want to start?
Okay, good question. So the program, with your application, let's say you're submitting it out by the 17th. It's going to, it's a reimbursable program, so it's going to reimburse you from January 1st.
Okay.
So,
2023.
yes, from January 1st, yeah. Okay, so, sorry, Danielle, we'll side chat. So, did you start your program yet?
So we started our non-for-profit.
Okay.
The end of last year. We have done an event, like a big event, this year already. So that's why I was just we're trying to start a program within our non-for-profit. Something just more steady that the youth have like all year round, instead of just like events here and there that we're able to do throughout the year from fundraising or donations.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds applicable to me. Laura, do you have any?
Yeah, if you're going to start a program, I think the one thing for everybody to understand is that
if you come up with a program, or your current program, say, is $30,000, the Youth Bureau cannot fund all $30,000 just because there's not enough funding. Okay, so I would say look at, maybe no more than 10,000 or something of Youth Bureau funding to go towards your project and what you're looking to do. So if you're looking for, if you're going to create a program, you just, especially as a startup, you just need to make sure that you have the funding to lay out so that you can then bill and get reimbursed.
Okay. That answered it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Christine, did you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. In the application, it asks for life areas, and the only life area you have in the instruction is the economic. What are the other life areas that you're looking for? And there's no correlated codes?
There's no, I'm sorry, there's no what?
There's no correlated
okay.
code.
So in regards to the life areas and all of those goals and objective and SOSs, that's the form you're speaking regarding?
Yes.
Okay. I do have a cheat sheet, and I can get that to you.
Okay.
Okay. And Christine, I apologize. Where are you with? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm the new senior manager of grants with Bethel Woods.
Okay, beautiful.
I'm working with Barbara.
Okay, great.
Probably would be able to email that.
Okay.
Economic security.
Okay, so we'll just do everybody. Okay. Thanks for bringing that up, Christine.
Okay.
I think a lot of people have that question I'm hearing.
I have another question about the application, like specific application stuff, because I've looked it over pretty thoroughly. Are we supposed to be using that form that you sent us? Because some of the text boxes, they don't fit the text. Is that something with the form? Okay.
No, please. So I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, just wondering, like, should we be sticking to that form, or can we submit it outside the form because the text boxes don't really fit? Mm-hmm.
So I think you're referring to the agency program profile where there's like 10 or so boxes, right? There's a few pages of boxes.
Asked for the program summary. That box doesn't fit.
Yeah. So,
the text. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So generally what people have done is they filled it out and then they could put an appendix behind it if you need to add. You absolutely can do that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Awesome.
So I asked a question.
Okay. Do you have a chat question?
Just that same here, I think that people who looked over the application properly have the same question.
Okay. So we'll get that out to absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anybody out in the room?
Did any of the forms change from last year?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
They didn't look different to me. They didn't look different. Oh, yeah.
The one form that you did send out, the individual, the 5001.
Yep.
The period of actual program operation.
Okay.
It says, 1/22 to 12/31/22, and you can't change it. So I don't.
Let me just.
Factor with the dates. I
This
think.
one?
Last year too. I couldn't change it.
Okay.
I had emailed you.
Okay, I can get you a form that's blank like this.
Because
Okay.
it was already filled in. Yours is blank.
Okay,
So.
not a problem.
So I did have a question as, with regards to different programs in there. So first off, we're always a year behind, correct, right?
Yeah, unfortunately,
No, I just
I'm
wanna
really
make
working on
sure.
getting forward.
No, I'm not behind myself.
No.
And I'm from Livingston Manor, as you both know, and everyone else. So as you know, we do a lot of programs. So like what you mentioned earlier and other people asked that, so we didn't have our ice carnival this year, but we have in there family trips or day trips where we take kids to skating. I decide that I want to take kids to skating in September,
Okay.
and I didn't take them in February, March. Do I have to let you know, or is it still good?
Your
Because-
scope was like a skating trip?
Yeah, skating trips. So I have skating trips in there.
Yep.
But I didn't take them during that time period.
I-
I changed the time period, Do I have to let you know, or is it okay?
I think it's okay.
Well, so it's gonna depend on how much detail was in your contract.
Mhm.
So if you say 3 skating trips
Mhm.
throughout the year,
Mhm.
then you're still covered. If you had very specific dates in your contract that said these are the dates we're going,
Right.
that's what we'd be looking to reimburse. So it's almost, we have to find a really good balance between not being too vague, but not being too much detail.
So should I take the dates out?
You could say between January and,
That's what I
To
wanted.
a range, yeah, a range of
Right,
time, and it
right.
gives you that
Thank you.
flexibility.
Mhm.
But you never want it to be too vague, that we can't tell what's going on.
Mhm.
But when you get too specific into those dates, and knowing with our weather and things like that. So I
Okay.
think Laura's, you're right on point there. If you give a range,
Yeah, okay,
then you're covered.
perfect. Thank you.
We have a question in the chat.
Yeah.
One part of the application is asking about how many males and females,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't allow to enter anything by, it
I
says
know.
by females, but I think it means but females.
Okay, yeah, and it's a state form, so I apologize if that upsets anybody or doesn't match, but the state form says male, female, so.
But I think they were saying they could only fill in.
only
the
fill in the
female.
females, they can't fill in
Oh,
the
I thought they were
males.
asking if somebody was, because I've had non-binary,
Oh,
I've had
okay.
that, my
I
apologies,
thought that's where
okay.
we were going at first, too.
Yeah, okay.
No, they're talking about the form won't allow them to add anything but females.
Huh, on the
So-
5002, or which one? Because there's multiple forms that,
Mrs. Feldman, can you let us know which form you're talking about?
Might be 5003, because I noticed on the town's application last year that they had 0 female, or it was blank for females.
okay,
So I'm,
Maybe it was the
so I
other
was
way.
like, oh, really? You're not planning for
5003.
any females?
okay.
We're gonna fix that.
We will definitely make changes to that and send that out also, thank you.
Be opening it as a traditional fillable PDF, and some people might have the PDF that you can edit stuff.
Right,
So I bet that might be the
Probably.
difference right there.
gotcha. Yep, this is perfect.
One other thing I was thinking, maybe just to add, because some people might not realize this if they haven't done this, on a regular basis, but, you don't want checks payable to cash and then you're saying, well, this is what we used it for. That happened to have come up the other day, so I thought it might be something important to go ahead and add that checks should never be made out to cash. It should be to the entity or the person that you're paying. Even if you're reimbursing them, someone in your program said, no, I went and picked up everything, here it is. You write it to their name, they sign off, they purchase these items, they give you that receipt, it becomes now part of your documentation, proof that you reimbursed that person, then we reimburse you. But checks to cash are really, not appropriate for us to reimburse on.
Absolutely.
And I also just wanted to add, because some places locally use just paper, and if you need a receipt, they'll write out a receipt for you, right? So, but what you need is, you can't have a receipt that just says $100 for lunch, right? That needs to be itemized to where it says that's 4 sandwiches and 3 pizzas, and, whatever it comes out to be. Even if it's a handwritten thing from the restaurant, you still need to have it itemized. It can't just be a blanket saying they won't get paid.
And another thing that came up a few weeks ago is if a check is written to an individual, that can't be combined with another receipt. That check itself, that person becomes a line on the form. So please make sure that if you have any checks written out to individuals, that they get their own name written as a vendor, okay?
On the expenditure summary, correct?
On the expenditure summary.
Yes.
Fabulous.
And when you forget everything that we just talked about today,
Just give us a
okay? Just tap into Kristen and
Please.
Okay, we have a
please.
question. Can these funds be put towards salary for covering an event we are going to? For example, a police officer's overtime rate of pay.
Overtime rate of pay, I can't quite answer that one, but yes, it can pay for salaries if you're running programming. Overtime, I don't know, I'll have to look into that one. Does that help you,
That is
Adam? Yeah. respond back? No?
Yeah, that does.
Hopefully that
Thank you.
Oh, hey, Adam. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
so one thing I just want to add on there, for people who are going to be putting in for salaries, quite often some organizations will take a person's salary and divide it up amongst their different programs. If you are going to be allocating somebody's specific salary, you just have to make sure whatever their salary is, that we don't allocate more than 100%. So you just have to make sure if you're allocating a percentage that you can explain the methodology, how you came up with that percentage, and be able to document that for the Youth Bureau for us to reimburse. When you're talking about possibly needing a police officer, I'm not so sure about the overtime rate, as you were saying, but if you're having an event and you have to have people there to help support that event, if it's some kind of a police presence or security, or someone running a concession, whatever the case may be, you just need to make sure you're showing exactly what you've paid them, that proof of payment, and then we would reimburse. And of course, it just has to be something that's obviously reasonable. We wouldn't say, oh, we paid him $1,000 to work for 3 hours. No, that's not reasonable. So we always look for reasonable and necessary. And I have to say, I always see the end result, which is just a stack of paper to reimburse. But it does, all of your various agencies seem to do a wonderful job with youth. So as critical as it is when it gets here and we're going through the numbers, and that seems painful sometimes, what you guys are doing is wonderful, and I do love seeing all the great things you do with the kids.
I agree. Yeah, and Adam, I know what you're kind of alluding to, and I think we can have a conversation maybe and talk a little bit more about that, because I know you guys run some amazing programs with your PD.
Thank you.
Can these funds be used for stipends to pay youth completing internships? I don't think stipends be used.
I don't think that's the
Yeah, I don't
Not the
believe
purpose
so.
of the fund.
Who was
Yeah.
asking that question? My
That was
apologies.
Jessica Calabrese.
Where's Jessica with? Hey,
Hi.
Jessica, hey, do you
Hi,
mind
how are
to just elaborate a little bit on that question?
Sure. So basically, we're hoping to run a youth internship program where we have teens ages 14 to 17 working alongside professionals in our agency, and there would be a training piece, and basically we would like to pay them for their time, the kids.
Okay.
And there's a multifaceted, so that was just one area that we were considering putting the stipend towards. But we have other areas as well. So if that's not possible, it's okay.
I really don't know the answer to that one, Jessica, but let me look into that and get back to you, because
Okay, great.
I'm not sure. I'm not saying yes or no, just not sure.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. In the last, number of years.
It's a good question, though.
It's a really good question.
Yeah, I have the same question. We wanted to run a year-round program for a teaching lifeguard, getting lifeguard certifications for the indoor pool in Fallsburg and for possibly the Cartwright as well. But we wanted to do that through youth. So definitely we'd be interested in that as well.
Gotcha. I will definitely inquire and get back to you.
Cool.
So otherwise, the funds can pretty much be used for materials, staff time, bringing in trainers,
Mm-hmm.
food, bus trips.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Keep going.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
Supplies, yeah, absolutely.
How many applications do you typically get?
So 2 years ago, I think coming out of all that stuff, there was probably 19 or so. Last year, there's probably around 26. We've gotten a nice response this year, so I think there may be more. So I can't give you a number yet, but.
And so do you, sorry, I'm
No.
pretty formal with grant applications. If somebody, asks for 15,000 or 10,000, or if there's a max, I don't know, would you say, no, well, we won't give you 10, but we'll give you 3?
Oh, absolutely.
You don't just deny the
Right,
application?
and that happens a majority of the time,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because it's better off to give some to more, right,
Right.
than more to fewer. It's better to have more programming.
Just want to sure I'm competitive at
Mhm.
money,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think one thing I'd like to add to that is, like, let's say your program is gonna run for $25,000, and I can only give you 3,000, I might need documentation from you saying, hey, I can still run this program on your 3,000, and just report that to me. All right, well, I thank you guys all for joining me today. This will be the first. We'll try to do this every year, and, like I said, please reach out to me in my office, email, call, and we can go through this process together. I hope you guys all have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.